years of talking about it and months of planning, we are finally back on the road. After the accidents of 2006 and 2008, I didn't think we would ever get back to this point, but here we are. We didn't know what to expect on the trip. Springtime in the Pacific Northwest, the weather can be unpredictable. Although I have been tracking it for a while, all along our planned route, the chance of rain has been in the high 60% range for weeks. I'm not afraid of the rain ruining the trip because fluffy white clouds can really enhance photographs, but who knows what is about to happen. Our plan was to drive as far north as we could after Lynn got off work Friday night, and then Saturday morning to continue on to some friend's house who we have not seen in several years, and then race to the Canadian border the following day. So off we go. California is in the middle of an extended drought, and as we traveled north, we saw its devastating effect on the once productive farms of the San Joaquin Valley. If it was just the lack of rain to blame, all we could do is pray. However, these dying farms have both the weather and politics to blame. And it is easy to see where the farmers find fault. It is a sad, sorry situation here in the once golden state. We got a little south of Redding to a little town called Corning, pulled into a Holiday Inn Express and called it a night. Lynn said she slept well, but as far as I'm concerned, that bed and pillow sucked, and I would have been better off sleeping in the car. And for the price, I do not feel I got my money's worth, so no more Holiday Inn Expresses for me. I got us up and back on the road before sunrise, and we arrived at Lake Shasta just after daybreak, so we stopped for some pictures. I remember boating on this lake as a boy on vacation with my family. It was a shocking sight to see how low the water line was even here. When we hit Wairika, we got off the main highway and drove north on Highway 263 along the Shasta River to where it ends at Highway 96 on the Klamath. Our friends are living along this highway in a small town called Hamburg. Gary is the only other surviving original road dog besides myself, and it has been many years since I have seen him. It seems Gary has got gold fever and spends his time working a claim where the Scott River empties into the Klamath. I got a chance to fly the drone and got some pretty good footage over his claim. After spending a wonderful day getting caught up with Gary, Johnny, and their son John Ory, we hit the road again before daybreak for our final push to the border and the official launch of our trip. The drive through Oregon and Washington was beautiful, and we saw many places and things we will want to come back and explore someday. However, this trip is something else. We arrived in Blaine in the afternoon, and after checking into the motel, we decided to scout out the area for our kickoff shoot the next morning. Blaine, Washington is the furthest point west you can cross into Canada driving your car, and it is here you will find the Peace Arch Park right on the border. It commemorates the open door policy between the United States and Canada. In fact, unlike our southern border, the only thing keeping out the Canadians is this ditch and that curb. The longest unfenced border on the planet is an amazing sight. Now, don't get me wrong, the border patrols are there and visible, but I do not get the impression it is as high a stress job like it is in the South. I asked one of the agents what their drone policy was, and while he did not know right off the top of his head, when Lynn and I passed him on our return, he was on the phone to his supervisor getting me permission to fly at the Peace Arch. The only condition they imposed was that I not fly over and photograph anything about their facility. And while in the end I chose somewhere else for the drone flight the next morning, I appreciate the reasonable and pragmatic approach the Border Patrol took with my request. God bless America. After scouting out the town, we decided where we would shoot our kickoff video the next morning and then called it a night. Although we had permission to fly at the Peace Arch Park, it did not actually open until 8 a.m., and I wanted to be on the road by then. The skies were cold and very dreary, and when we went to sleep, we were a little anxious about the weather conditions we were about to face on our trip. But for now, no worries, because at last we are here, ready to get going on our border-to-border adventure. So there you have it, a quick overview of our race to the border for our big adventure. Not much to it, but I thought an important snapshot of our trip. I hope you enjoyed it and will come back for the relaunch of our site and our complete adventure as we travel from Canada to the Mexican border, flying our drone and photographing all the beauty that the West Coast has to offer. So until then, this is Hugh saying, see you soon.